So today we will be seeing one of the applications of integer root theorem, which is actually a special case of the rational root theorem. So first let me describe the theorem. So let me first write it down. So I will be calling it IRT as the integer root theorem. So this particular theorem says that suppose I have a polynomial p of x where n represent the power of the polynomial, and that polynomial can be given by xn plus a n minus 1 xn minus 1, and it goes on like this, a1 x plus a naught. So I have a polynomial like this where normally there is a n term, but we have considered it to be 1 for the case of integer root theorem, and with the additional constant of a of 0 not equal to 0, because if it is 0 you can just factor out a x and you will have again a polynomial of this form. So we can assume this particular thing. So if I have a polynomial like this, then any real root will be either an integer such that it divides a naught. So if we have this particular polynomial or equation equals to 0 has some type of solution in the real numbers, and if that solution is an integer, then the integer must divide a naught. It is a condition. It must satisfy this particular condition, or, and this particular thing is important, it will be an irrational number. So that means, let me give you an example so you guys can understand. So as an example, let's take any type of random equation. I will take a cubic equation of x. So my polynomial will be x cube minus 5x square plus 4x plus 6 equals to 0. So this is one of my polynomial. Here a naught is not equals to 0, a n, that is a3 is 1. So it does satisfy my structure of the equation or my polynomial, and I have to find the root, that means this particular equation. So according to the theorem, it says that if this particular equation, that is this particular equation, if this particular equation has some real integer solution, then those solutions, let me represent it by a naught, must divide 6, or they are an element of the set of the factors of 6. And here you have to take into account both the positive factors and also the negative factors. Okay, so I hope it is clear what I am trying to say. So if this equation has some solution which is real and integer, then that particular solution x naught must divide 6. That means that x naught must be one of the factors of 6. I hope it is clear. And here factors mean that you have to take into account both positive factors and negative factors. Okay, so I hope it is clear. So for this particular equation, the solution must be in between these particular numbers. Okay, so now how do you find the solution? Now here it comes into the try and error method. We take each of these numbers, like suppose I first take x naught equals to 1 and put this x naught equals to 1 on this particular equation and find out the value of the equation. In this case it will be 1 cube times 5 times 1 square plus 4 times 1 plus 6. And as you can see, it is equals to what? I can see here 10, 11 minus 6. So it is actually 6. Okay. So it gives me 6 which is not equals to 0. That means this particular x not equals to 1 is not the solution of this equation, and you do this for all of the elements of this particular set, that is the set of the factors, and by doing this you will find that for the value of 3 we get p of 3 equals to 0. That means that 3 is the solution. You find the solution is using this method. Now you can think that, well, this is pretty much lengthy and we already have the solutions for cubic equations. Yes, you have, but you see, sometimes you have to do the solution of the equations of the power of 1000 or 80 or maybe 70 or maybe 10. There are no formulas for any polynomial of the power of 5 or higher than that. You can actually prove that fact using the group theory. So the thing is, for those type of equations, everything boils down to the fact that the solutions must be among the factors of the last term, that is a naught, and there are very few very few possible solutions, very few numbers which you have to try. So this particular method is very handy for longer polynomials. Okay, so I hope it is clear. Now using this particular method, you can actually prove if a number is irrational or not, and this is what we will see actually today. This is what our main goal for today. We will see how to prove that any number is irrational or not using this particular integer root theorem. You can also apply the rational root theorem, but I will leave it to you guys. Okay, so now let's think about it. How can you prove this particular thing? We will see this using a beautiful example, one or two beautiful examples. So first, let me take into account the square root of 2. So prove that square root of 2 is irrational number. You guys already know the proof, but can you guys do it using this particular theorem? So yes, we can. First, we have to find the polynomial whose solution is the square root of 2. So this is my polynomial. So my polynomial is x square minus 2. The solution of this polynomial is square root of 2. Okay. So now if this particular polynomial, you see it has a structure of integer root theorem where a of 2 here is equals to a of 1 equals to 1 and a naught of 0 is not equals to 0. Okay, so here my a naught is equals to 2. Okay, that means that if this polynomial has some real integer solutions, then those solutions must be the member of this particular set. Okay, I hope it is clear. Now if I find the value of this particular polynomial, for 1 I get minus 1. If I put the value equals to 2, I will get 2 square minus 2, so 2. So, and it is symmetric in positive and negative direction, so you will all get the same values. So you see that this particular polynomial does not satisfy, that is, any member of this set is not the solution of this particular polynomial. That means that we don't have any integer who is the factor of a naught. Then from the integer root theorem, the second part of the integer root theorem, we can say that means that any solution of this particular equation, that is x square minus 2 equals to 0, any solution of that particular equation is irrational number, and we know that one solution is square root of 2. So that means square root of 2 is actually a irrational number. You see how beautiful this method is. Okay, and you can actually prove some other things, like suppose I have a number square root of 2 plus square root of 3. So can you guys try it out if it is irrational or not? Try it out, pause the video. Okay, so let's see how you can solve it. So I can take a square and I will have an element like this, and I can again take this 2 in this side and do a square, and I will have a equation x square, x square, not x square, it is x to the power 4 minus 4 x naught square plus 1 equals to 0. Okay, so I have a solution like this. I have an equation like this. Okay, so here if there is an integer solution x naught, then it must be the element of this particular set, because the a naught is here 1. Now if you put 1 here, you will see that suppose I put 1 here, then I will see that 1 p of 4 1 to the power 4 minus 4 times 1 square plus 1, which is not equals to 0. That means any element of this set does not satisfy this particular equation. That means the solutions of this equation, real solution of the equation, will be irrational number from the integer root theorem, and we know one of the solutions, which is this one. So that means this number is actually an irrational number. You see how easy this is to prove that if a number is irrational or not using this particular method. You can actually extend the idea to rational numbers too using the rational root theorem, but I will leave that to you guys. Now let me give you an idea of something which is called the minimal polynomial, because you guys will know, you guys will need this particular idea to write the Python code. So you see, today's main goal is to write a Python program to check if a number is irrational or not. You can find whole of the internet. There are few questions in Math Exchange. I think Stack Overflow, there are some questions in there, but you will not find any program regarding this, and that is why we will be writing a Python code to check if a number is irrational or not. So to do that, you need the idea of minimal polynomial. So what the thing minimal polynomial is? So first let me write down the technical definition of this particular thing. So the technical definition of minimal polynomial is something like this. So for any number, say n, which belongs to the set of real numbers, okay, and n is not transcendental number, that means n is not equal to pi or e type of number or phi, which not actually phi, sorry, pi or e, that is n is the solution of some type of algebraic equation. Okay, so if n is a number like this, then the, let me write it down in different color, smallest degree polynomial, the smallest degree polynomial whose root is the number n is called the minimal polynomial. Okay, so let me give an example so that the idea is clear. So suppose we take this number square root of 2. It is the easiest one. So we know that this square root of 2 is actually the solution of this particular equation. Okay, you guys know that, and we already see this. But you see that I can multiply both sides by this term, and I will have a equation like this, and square root of 2 is again the solution of this particular equation. Not only that, actually square root of 2 is the solution of a whole class of equation, and let me write out down the whole class. The whole class of equation is x square to the power 2k minus 2 to the power 2k equals to 0. Okay, where k belongs to the positive integers, also you can include 0. Okay, so that means square root of 2 is actually the solution of any type of equation. Okay, like 2 to the power 8 equals to 0 and things like that. It is actually the solution of all of these equations. But whenever you are analyzing the integer root theorem, we only use the smallest degree polynomial. Why? Because it is easier for us to do work with that particular thing. That's why we take that particular equation, and that smallest power equation is the minimal polynomial of that particular number, square root of 2. You can also you have also seen here in the previous case the number, this particular number, the smallest polynomial for that particular number is this one, x to the power 4 minus 4x square plus 1. Okay, you can find many more polynomials, but this one is the smallest, and you can actually use this particular one. Okay, I hope it is clear. So now we have all the tools to do the Python code, Python programming. Now, before starting the programming, let me say that I will be using a Python library which is called SymPy, Symbolic Python, and it has some additional inbuilt functions like how to find minimal polynomials. So I will be using this, and actually it is pretty handy in case of maths and physics. Okay, so and I use this all the time, and I will be using that particular library. Okay, so you have to install that particular library. You guys can do that, find in internet and all of this. So let's now start the coding. Okay, so here is my Jupyter notebook, and I will be starting the coding. So let's see. First, I will be using the LaTeX format to show you guys a little bit cleaner way. So I will be using the LaTeX format of the SymPy. For that I am writing this line. You will be fine without this line. Okay, SymPy dot interactive interactive import printing, and I will be printing init printing use LaTeX equals true. I will be using this particular format, and also we will need some functions of SymPy, and you can just see the name and find out why we need them. The first one is minimal polynomial, POLY. Okay, then the second one is poly, then the third one is root, and the last one is divisors. So I will be needing this particular sorry, there should be E. Okay, now it is fine. So I will be using these particular functions, and let's describe one by one what each of these does. So let's start with the root. So what does the root does? Let me first use that particular thing. So I will be writing like this 3 comma 2, and let me write it down here that the root function actually takes 2 arguments. So the first one is the number, and the second one is the power of the number, the power of the root. That means for 2 it is square root of 2. Okay, square root. Okay, so let me show what does this returns. I have written it in here. It will give me a beautiful latex format. So let's run this particular thing. Okay, let it run here. As you can see, it is giving me square root of 3. That means the first element is the thing which is inside the 3 and the second element is the outside thing, and I can again write this particular thing. You can use any power like 5, and suppose I have written here 10, and let me print out this particular thing. If I run this particular thing, you will see I will get the 5 of 1 by 10, the power of, okay, so 10th root of 5, I am taking that particular thing. So using this, you may think that we can actually use the Python's pow function. The pow function actually also returns the exact same thing, like I can do square root of 2 and it will give me the 4, and if I write 0.5 it will give me the value 1.44. But you see, we can't use that because you see the Python terminates it, so sometimes it will act as a fraction, okay, or rational number, a fraction. And to use the functions like minimal polynomial of SymPy, you have to use the root function of the SymPy, so that Python knows that yes, it is root. He wants to take this number as a root thing. He don't want me to calculate the value, so we need the root function. Okay, I hope it is clear. Okay, so now let suppose I want to write down this particular number. So how can I do that using the root? Well, you see, this particular number is root 3, 2, right? So this total number is 2 times root 3 times 2 plus 10, and this plus 10 will give me this total number, and again I can take a root here 2 and it will give me my desired result. So let's try it out. Let me write it here in 2, and I want to find, so there will be a root outside, then there will be 10 plus 2 times, or I suppose I have written here 2, I think 2 times root 3, 2 and the whole thing 2. And if I see what this thing shows me here, you see, this is what we want. Okay, so I hope it is clear how to do this type of things. Now let's see what the minimal polynomial does. So if I write here P and minimal polynomial of n, the first one, and suppose I want to find it out, see it. If I run it, you will see it gives me the minimal polynomial. Like you see, x cube minus 3. It should be, this is the equation, smallest degree equation, whose solution is square root of 3. So I can just do the same for the other two. I will just write here 1, 1, and let's take n2. Okay, if I run it, you see it is the minimal polynomial. So you see how easy this is. Okay, so now I hope you have all the desired result from the minimal polynomial and all of these things. Now let's see the other functions. So you see that to apply or to find the coefficients of any type of this minimal polynomial, you need the function which is called the poly. What does this poly do? This poly actually converts this equation, this minimal polynomial, into a actual polynomial which we can use using SymPy. Okay, so how can I do that? I can write the polynomial as poly and the minimal polynomial. In this case, I am using this minimal polynomial. Okay, so I am written here p. Okay, I hope it is clear. So this will actually give me the polynomial. Here you see, this is in the polynomial case and it takes integers. Okay, so I hope it is clear. It has converted it into something which I can use using the SymPy functions. Okay, now what I can do, I can actually find all the coefficients of this polynomial. But first, to apply this thing, you have to convert it into a polynomial of SymPy, which we have already done using this particular function. So now I can use pol dot all coefficients here, and this function returns all the coefficients of this. So it is 1, 0, minus 1. What does this means? You see that the coefficients of that particular equation, let me write it down. Where is my pen? Okay, here. So the equation is x square minus 3. Okay, so all coefficients this function actually returns all the coefficients of that particular equation. So it starts from an and it goes to a naught. So in this case, the coefficient of an, that is a2, is 1, and the coefficient of x is 0 because the x term is missing, so 0, and the a naught is 3. So that's why it is giving me this particular thing. I hope it is clear. Okay, so I can again find this particular thing out for the other case. Let me copy this thing, Control V. I can replace it with once, and now I will not print it because you already know the polynomial. I will just directly use this particular thing, Control V. Here 1, 1, and 1, and let's see what it returns. You see, it is returning me 1. The first one is the coefficient of x to the power 4, the second one is x to the power cube, as x to the power cube is missing, so it is 0, minus the coefficient, then the coefficient of x square, so it is minus 20, then again the coefficient of x, which is 0, and then 88. So I hope it is clear. So how can I find the value of a naught? A naught is the last one, right? And the last one is actually given by a bracket minus 1. It gives me the last one. If I run it, it will give me 88. So this is actually the a naught. Okay. So I hope up to this point everything is clear. Then if you want to find the value of the polynomial at a particular point, you have to again use something which is a function which is called eval. So suppose I want to find the value of the polynomial, the first polynomial, that is this particular one, okay, this one. I want to find the value of that particular polynomial at, suppose 1. Let's suppose I want to find the value at 1. So what can I do? I can write the pol dot eval 1. Okay, and you will see it gives me the value of that particular equation at 1. So what does this means? So let me write down here. So let me write it down here. So suppose I have a polynomial pol, then pol dot eval any number n means that we are finding the value of the polynomial at that particular point. Okay, I hope it is clear. And in this case, as you can see, if I put here 1, then 1 minus 3 equals to minus 2, as you have already seen here. Okay, so I hope it is clear. Now what you have to do, you need the factors of a naught. Okay, so how can you find the factors? Let me write here. So the factors can be find it out by divisors of some number. Suppose in this case I want to find the divisor of 16. So if I run it, you see I get all the divisors, but you see that there are only positive divisors, but you need actually the negative ones too. Okay, so how can you find the negative things? Actually they are symmetric, that is they are exactly the same numbers just with the negative sign. So you can just use the Python for loop. To do that, I will multiply each element with a minus, and this will give me actually the negative things. So what does this thing actually does? It actually simply multiplies each of the element of div p, that is the positive divisors, with a -1 and create another list, or maybe you can say array, and this is those all negative things. Okay, and then I can create a total list of the positive and negative divisors using the concatenate method of Python, and it will give me all the possible divisors. Okay, as you can see here it is. Okay, so I hope it is clear. Now you have all the tools to actually write a code to find if a number is irrational or not. So let's write it down. So I will define a function which will check irrational, and it will take a number as the argument m, and let me define a variable result which will be true at the beginning. Okay, then I will find the minimal minimal polynomial of m. Okay, I hope it is clear, and let me print down the minimal polynomial. And to print it down you don't need the LaTeX format, so you guys can actually run this code for your machine too without using the LaTeX format. Minimal polynomial of, let me write it down a little bit cleaner, is, and this is p. Okay, so this is it will print out the minimal polynomial, and then I will define a polynomial using the poly function. I will make a polynomial function using this. Let me make it small p, because minimal polynomial. Now what you will do, you need to find the a naught, because that particular numbers factored at the possible solutions, right? So you can do that using all coefficients and just the -1, that is the last one. It is a naught. Okay, so let me write it down again. The a naught is equals a naught. Okay, now I will calculate the divisors of a naught. So first the positive divisors, so you can find it using the function like I have already shown you guys, and the negative divisors will be simply this particular thing, C V, and then the total divisors is this particular thing, and rather than calling it total divisors, let me write it down, all divisors. It should be fine. Okay, all divisors, so it is like this. Then what you will do, you will print it out to see if this is correct. All possible roots, integer or integer roots, because they are all possible integer roots, and you will print this particular thing. Okay, it is fine. Now you just need to check if some of them satisfies that particular equation. alt div. So we need the value of each point, so I will just use eval at a point j. So if the value is equals to 0, result will be converted to false, and if it is 0, then we don't need to check anymore, because then it is not a irrational number, so we will break from the loop. Okay, so it is up to this point everything is clear, I suppose. So if the result is true, that means it has found none value that satisfies the equation, then print m is an irrational number. Okay, else print m is an integer. Okay, so this is my function. Let's see if it works. I have run it and let's check. Let me copy it so that I don't have to write it again and again. Okay, so let's check this particular thing for n. That means our n was what? Root 3. Okay, so you know root 3 is irrational. Okay, so let's see if it is returning the correct thing. Okay, so you see it gives me the minimal polynomial, then the a0, then the possible roots, and it is not a irrational number. Let's check it for n2. Again it is not a irrational number. Let's check it for suppose 5. Again it is not a so see it is an integer, so it is giving me. And also you can do what? You can try it out for pi or things like that, but to do that you need the pi from the SymPy library. So let me again import here pi. Okay, let's run it, and now let's use pi. So let's see what happens. You see it is giving me error, whole bunch of error, but last here it is written pi does not seem to be a algebraic element. What does this mean? This means it is a transcendental number, and they are not actually, we can't actually do that because they does not have an equation, algebraic equation. They are not the solution of the algebraic equation. So for those, this particular thing will not work. Okay, I hope this is clear how to write this particular code, and this code will be given and you guys can apply this particular idea. And if you guys want, you can extend this particular code for the rational root theorem. And if you guys are curious, this particular code is actually taken from a book which I am writing, and you guys can actually find that book out. I will give the link in the description of that particular book. Okay.